Hey guys, welcome to our latest podcast episode. Today we're talking all things renting, buying, building in Bali.
Yeah, so when people come to Bali, they generally move around a little bit, and it's a bit of a minefield to start off with if you're new to Bali, trying to figure out where to live and where's the best place. And we've both lived in a few different places, so we thought it'd be a good topic for today.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty different to Australia.
Yes.
There's so many different ways to find the villas or the property. It is a minefield, and I think it's probably one of the hardest things that people find when they first move here. I feel like we've been pretty lucky with property and finding villas to rent. What about you?
I would say the first year was very up and down. We moved quite a few times.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that it was hard to find somewhere necessarily. It was hard to find the right place.
Yeah.
And for the right deal. And then obviously I know we've touched on before about paying up front
Mm-hmm.
for like your yearly rental. That
Yeah.
is like a big thing.
Did you know that before you came, or did you?
No.
Yeah.
No idea. Absolutely no idea. So when you get here, it's like, what? Really? Is that the way it works? And there are monthly rentals though. There are some, if you choose a monthly rental, but generally if you're paying monthly, you're paying more each month.
Yeah, that's
If you pay for a yearly rental, then there's a bit of a discount for taking it for that long period of time. But yeah, no, I had no idea. Did you know that?
I think we did, but we thought when we got here, surely there'd be ways, around it, like a 6-month or monthly. I do think a lot of it is negotiable, like everything is kind of negotiable, but mostly it's 12 months up front.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we tried to negotiate quite a few times and we're told no. There's no negotiation.
Yeah, even
this is it. Take it or leave it. But yeah. So when you first got to Bali, where did you go?
So when we first got here, I think one of the things that we'd recommend is not to rent or buy something before you've come and looked at it.
Yeah.
You don't know the neighbors. You don't know if there's construction or mold in the house, or even if the house works.
Yeah.
So one kind of funny thing is like a lot of houses don't have ovens. So a lot of the places we saw didn't have ovens, which we probably didn't even use that much, to be honest, but they might not have ovens. Most properties come fully furnished. You can get some that are partly furnished, again, up to you, but you do need to check what's included. So we got here and we did Airbnbs for the first maybe month while we looked, and we looked on, they do have websites here, right? Like we do in Australia, it's like realestate.com or Domain, and we probably only have 2 websites. Here, there's, I don't know how many agencies.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot, right? Like, I don't know. There's so many agencies. And the funny thing is that they all generally have the same property.
Yeah, you will notice that.
Right? Whereas, in Australia, you're kind of with one
It's
agent.
like exclusivity.
Yeah, exclusive.
Yeah.
Whereas here, everyone has the same villa. And sometimes it might be advertised differently. So you'll end up going to a villa and it's the same one. You're like, oh, I've already seen it.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying, right? And then they also don't tell you where it is. Like they don't tell you an address.
Yes, right.
Until you're shown interest.
Yeah.
And then they send you like a pin drop. Have you ever done that?
Normally they send you a
It's
picture roughly where it is. Not where the actual villa is. They're like, normally we'll meet at this spot like 2 minutes away and then I'll draw you follow us to the place. That I remember that. Slightly annoying.
Yeah. It's just inconvenient looking for a villa.
Yeah.
It's time consuming and it's just a lot of back and forth. But so you've got the websites where you can find them. Those ones for people looking, like they're completely overpriced. So always negotiate those ones.
Yes.
They're generally, I'm going to say 10 to 20% more than what you could probably get it for. And a lot of them also are still tenanted. Have you ever reached out and they're like, oh, look, it's still tenanted, but I'll see if they're leaving.
Yeah.
Like,
is this available or is it not?
Yeah. Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And time wasting.
Yeah, totally. What about Facebook?
Yeah.
Because I remember that when we first got here.
Yeah. I probably didn't really know that until our second time. So our first time I wasn't really privy to the Facebook groups. Is that how you found yours?
Yeah, we found a few on the Facebook groups. That's the only way we were looking to start off with. We didn't really use the agencies. But again, it is a bit of a minefield looking through there. There's lots on there. And some are, direct with owners. Some are still through agents.
Yeah.
but they're just posting in these Facebook groups.
Yeah.
But there seem to be lots on there when I was looking. I mean, now we're been in our villa for a few years and we own it, so we haven't had to look for anywhere lately.
Yeah.
Don't know what it's currently like, but I hear from friends like it's a difficult market still, trying to find good deals.
And especially child friendly.
Yeah, for sure. And Bali villas, are generally the outside kind of environment.
Yeah.
All the bedrooms kind of face the outside or the pool. They're not like, inside. So it is hard to find somewhere, if you have young children, that you really feel safe and confident about. But there are lots out there. I think things have changed a lot over the past, since we've been here 3 years.
Yeah.
And people are building, some of the new villas they're building, they are more family friendly.
Yeah. Except for the ones with like stairs with no banisters.
Yeah.
Even I don't want to go down that.
Same.
Like, I mean, it looks pretty, I guess.
Yeah, it does. And that's Bali style. But I think those would be more suitable, for people that are coming on holiday. They're renting out an Airbnb because it's that kind of style.
Yeah.
If you're coming here on holiday, then it's fine to have, outside living environment. You probably don't have that at home.
Yeah.
It's
Well, that's
completely
right. Our first place was like that
Yeah.
because we wanted that experience.
Yeah.
All out, like all the bedrooms faced outside.
Yeah.
So it wasn't practical at all with 2 little kids at the time, like
No.
baby especially, who wasn't walking. So
Yeah.
crossing the lawn in the middle of the night to check on them and stuff like that. But it was nice. All the showers were outdoors.
Yeah, this is quite nice. I
Yeah.
enjoy this.
I
Up to a
like
point. I like showering indoors now, but
Same. Do you know what I like? So then, right, you're hot. So you can never have like a hot shower because you're hot.
yeah.
Whereas now, I know it's so funny, but
Yeah.
now if I'm in the aircon, I can go and have a hot shower if I want.
I've
It's
always have a
weird.
hot shower no matter what.
Really? Nah. Oh, if I'm hot, I don't want a hot shower.
I can't have a cool shower. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel right.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Okay, so initially you're looking on like online agents, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And what about so where you are now? Obviously,
Yeah.
we've mentioned before we're neighbours,
Yes.
but you are renting yours.
Yeah.
And how does that work?
Yeah.
Your rental.
Yeah. So we do 12 months upfront, and we've always done that. We have looked at doing other rentals where it might be 5 years. So you can do, again, this is where it's about negotiating, right? So getting a property that you maybe want for 5 years and you can pay 12 months up front and then the next 12 months in 5 months or 2 years up front. Generally doing that, you'll get it a little bit cheaper per year. But again, a lot of it is still up front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But both of ours, we've played around with, do we want to buy or rent? But we're happy with renting. And this time, I kind of reached out to everyone that I knew. We've been there for a year, in Bali for a year. So I think word of mouth is a great way to find a place.
Yeah,
And
totally.
obviously, you knew we were looking and you sent it to me and we go direct through the owner. I mean, we kind of did with the first one, which wasn't a great experience, which I'll touch on. But now, the owner's fantastic. So it's a lot better.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the same as everywhere. You don't know what your a landlord as such is going to be like.
Well, that's the
There's nothing
thing.
different, really.
And coming from Australia and having an idea of what renting is and what a landlord's role is and what a tenant's role is, it was very different in our first experience. So our first experience, we signed a lease, obviously. We probably should have looked at it more closely. And it was every little repair was our responsibility.
Right. Yeah.
Which now we've learned isn't necessarily the case. We just thought that was the norm in Bali. Okay, so something breaks down, we have to fix it. Except for the fridge, for example, they did fix because that was old. But taps would break down, we would repair. Just little things that probably an owner should do. And now in our new place, the owner does it all.
Yeah, great.
She fixes everything unless we want changes made.
Yeah.
But yeah, so looking at your leases, definitely look into that. Make sure that you can see who covers what. So we don't pay for we pay for electricity, but we don't pay for the pool cleaner. We don't pay the gardening, the rubbish removal, the local council rates. That's all included in our rent. Right. In our first one, we had to pay that all separately. Yeah. So again, everything's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just really important to clarify that and make sure you know who's paying what, who's in charge of what. And if you've only got a contract in Indonesian, that you make sure there's a translation made and that you understand
Yeah.
what's involved, because it can easily be. And with contracts, it's always the Indonesian that takes
Is it precedence?
precedence. That's the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
So even though there's an English translation, sometimes
Just double check the translation.
if you have
yourself.
someone that can check it,
Yeah.
very helpful. Someone you
Yeah.
trust is useful. What are, if you don't mind sharing, like the prices of villas? I think people would be really keen to know. Like a 4-bedroom, like modern.
I'm trying to think what the first one was. Our first one was a 4-bedroom, living space, kitchen, 4-bathroom, pool, quite a nice like outdoor space. And I think that was about, so Australian prices 50 to 60,000 a year.
Yes.
Not including like housekeeping, pool, gardening, all the other expenses. We also had to pay for like the pool, like chemicals and like anything to do with the pool.
Okay.
It was all on top of it. I'm trying to think if that was all.
Yep.
And then after our first year, they come to like, what's the word? Like renew your lease.
Yes.
And we knew they would increase it because that's just how they had been the whole time.
Yeah.
Very tricky landlords. They never helped us throughout the whole experience. They never, like when we said things weren't working or the power went out, it was like we were inconveniencing them constantly. And we're not very big complainers. Yeah. As our new owner, she just thinks like we're great. Yeah. So we knew we were expecting an increase. And because of COVID, it was probably a good price. But they wanted to increase it 60%.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we didn't realize.
Increase of 60%. Yeah.
Whoa.
So obviously we're like, nah, we tried to negotiate, but at the end of the day, we didn't want to be in there with them.
Get out anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like she would be, no joke, I would come home and she would just be sitting there at the kitchen table.
The landlord?
The landlord.
Owner.
Yeah. So I'd walk in and I'd be like, hey, and she's just like stares at me like, hi. I'm like, okay. She's not a local. She lives she lives here, but she's from Europe. But yeah,
that's very strange.
That happened a couple of times. Yeah.
That's not normal.
Yeah, no. So if that's happening, guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Change the locks, maybe. I don't know. I think we ended up changing the locks and she questioned it and we're like, how do you know we changed the locks? Like,
no, I don't think people should just let themselves in if you're renting out to somebody. You tell them if you're going to come in.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. And then this one is, our new one is about the same. So it's 50 to 60,000. Not same amount of bedrooms, same bathrooms, but smaller, like land size. But everything's included except for housekeeping.
Yeah, amazing.
And I think that's just easier because then you don't have to do
all these extras can soon add up, really.
Yeah. And so you started renting, right?
Yes. So when we got here, we did the Airbnb thing when we first arrived to figure out, explore the area and then start looking. Thought that was the easiest thing to do. And we signed a contract for, I think we said we'd stay there 4 months or 3 months to try it out. But we were there like 2 days and I was like, no, not staying here.
Oh, really?
I need to get out. It was in Canggu, it was the outdoorsy villa, and it was very much like a holiday villa. And the kids were, 2 and 4 still. It wasn't practical. So very like a few days in, I was like, just to let you know, we're staying the month and then we're leaving. And they didn't have to be nice about it, but I think they understood because we had the small kids. It wasn't practical for us. So we actually got out of that one. But, they probably, the contract was 4 months. So we just got lucky with them being very kind. And then we found another villa in Umalas where it was very indoors. There wasn't much outdoors, and the outdoors was like concrete. Again, it had one of those stairs that a banister. We had to put it in. Yeah. It wasn't very practical, but we were there and it was fine for a while. But then we'd been there, I think, 4 weeks, and there was a big green space next to us, and the construction just started, and I was like, oh my God, like I swear the owner must have known. Maybe he didn't know. They must have known that they were going to start construction next door. And so, literally people, it was quite glass. It was a lot of glass. It wasn't like concrete, it was more glass.
Yeah.
And so you could just see out right into the workers every day, like walking. It was 2 stories, just walking across like our landing, and you could see directly out, and it was noisy. It was right, like the kids' windows was there, and they were starting to build right there. Like, I was like, oh my God.
That's like my worst
With your
fear.
contact. I was like, this is unacceptable. And then it was a tricky process.
How long was that lease?
We signed for a year.
Oh, you signed that one
We
pretty
signed for a year.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of back and forth with that owner who wasn't very impressed and didn't want us to get out of it. Actually, there were people in it before us renting it, and then they left to go back to the US, and then they sublet it to us. Which, whether they should have done that, I don't actually know.
Yeah.
But then we were dealing direct with the owner and explaining the situation, that we weren't very happy about it. And eventually we just went out on our own and spoke to agents and asked them if we could find someone to sublease off us. So we're like double subleasing. And eventually we found some people to do it. The owner, I don't think, was very happy, but
it's pretty common, right?
Yeah.
Like subletting.
yeah.
There's a lot of businesses, people are doing that. They're buying or renting long-term properties and then getting people to rent it for more money, right?
But you should always, if you're renting somewhere, like most in the contract, it'll say you can't sublease it. So if you,
Some do, yeah.
So just, that's another thing to be careful of, and make sure if you aren't 100% sure and want to be able to like get out of the contract and sublease it to someone else, that's in there. Yeah. It wasn't in ours. So technically, again, we shouldn't have, but we managed to get around it.
That's the same as ours.
It was an inconvenience with the kids, and then we could building next door.
Yeah. So that's another thing, right? Make sure that you are renting from an owner.
Yeah.
Or you have a contract.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, you don't know who's actually owning the property.
Yeah, totally. There can be a long chains and you don't know who is actually.
Yeah.
And if you're paying anything, make sure it's like signed, receipt, like documented that anything has been paid. Yeah. Don't pay anyone through Facebook.
No, there's been stories about that, right?
Yeah. Don't pay deposits that way, and make sure you meet the people and get everything. Yeah, legit. Because people are scammed. Unfortunately, it can be one of those places you think you're dealing with someone legit who seems lovely and helpful. Yeah. But some, these things happen everywhere. People get scammed out of things. But true. Yeah. When you first arrive, you can be not naive, but you don't know how everything works.
Yeah, and they're always saying things like, "Oh, it's really popular. There's quite a lot of interest."
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Oh, I really want it."
Yeah.
So then you do whatever you're told. Like, I think for our first one, we're like, that was exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we finally found one, and it takes so long to find one. Yeah. But when you find one, you almost do whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So different, like interesting experiences. We kind of, that first year was a lot of learning. Yeah. So when we left that villa, we managed to get out of it and just went. I think we booked another Airbnb and just rented a kind of long-term Airbnbs while we were still looking for somewhere more permanent. Yeah.
And was it at that time that you looked at buying off the
plan? I don't know how we decided we might. I think because we've been hopping around and spending lots of money, I guess, on short-term rentals. Yeah. Like the monthly rentals are more expensive.
Yeah.
That we just thought, why are we spending all our money in this manner? Why don't we put it into actually buying somewhere?
Yeah.
We looked at, I think, only 2 or 3 other places. The villa we're in now. So we went to look around. It was still being built. It was in construction. The gang was just mud, really. And they had to start to build. There are 9 villas. And we looked around there. I say looked around. Yeah, looked at the building site. And just could imagine what it was like. They'd all done a development before. So we could kind of see, like, know what it would end up looking like.
Was there construction around it, or was it pretty empty at that point?
You mean other villas?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
What was it? Like,
that's interesting. 2 years. There were some villas already built around it. There was some space next to us. And actually, once we'd been there for a year, they did start building some villas directly opposite, the gang entrance.
Yeah.
So we did have noise there for a while. But we just thought putting money into having something for ourselves. And I should say it's long-term lease. It's not, we don't own it forever.
Yes.
It is, the leases generally are like 25 years, roughly. Yeah. I think ours was about that. So we have it for that amount of time.
Yeah. And did you have any Did you get to choose any of the build or like extras, or how does it work here?
Yeah, it depends. Every scenario is different and who your developer is and what's going on there. But
Yeah.
we did get a say in a few things. I mean, there was a plan of how it was going to be built. I think the only thing we had a say in was like the shape of the pool.
Yeah.
Randomly enough, we added like a ledge in ours because of the kids we wanted. And actually, the ledge is great now because I can just lie in it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Actually, it's more for me now, not for the kids because they
Yeah.
can swim. They don't need it.
Yeah.
That's probably the only thing we did. And we had like there were supposed to be 4 showers. We added a bath into one of the rooms instead.
Great call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the only things. Nothing major. Oh, in the bedrooms, I think in yours you have like concrete bed, right? And
Yes.
side tables. We
Yeah.
chose not to have a permanent kind of structure in there. We just have beds.
Really?
We just bought beds,
I didn't know that.
which obviously was an extra cost to us. But I don't know. I don't know, for some reason we were
So
like,
much better, honestly. That's
Yeah.
one thing we don't
"Oh,
like.
really?
Yeah. Because we'd love to turn like our spare room into an office.
Oh yeah, and you.
But we can't because it's all concreted in.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
And you can't move things around if you want.
Yeah. I mean, because the size of the bedrooms aren't huge anyway, so it's not like we
Yeah.
could move the bed into any other location.
Yeah, that is true.
But for some reason,
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want a permanent. And it's quite common to have like a concrete structure for the bed.
Yeah.
It's good
Even
fixed.
lounges, like sunken lounges is so a big thing
Yeah.
right now, which
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't like.
I don't like that
I don't like the
either.
concreted ones in.
No, I don't like it.
And like some of our friends have them, and then when they put them in, they realize like when their kids are always hitting their heads on it or falling into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say even with our sofas, they're the concrete with just cushions. Do your kids always
Yeah.
bash their heads?
Yeah.
Mine do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the sofas
mind.
like that. I
Yeah.
can't imagine having like a normal sofa.
Because that kind of saves up space, I think.
Yeah.
In a room, it doesn't, as much.
Yeah.
And how long did it take to build?
Good question. So we were building already when we got to it. So I don't know exactly when they started the build,
Yeah.
but I think it took over a year. So I think
not
we
too bad.
came along to it, and I think it was the last villa left to buy, a 4-bedroom anyway. And we signed probably in July, August of 2022. And actually it was supposed to be ready by the end of October. It was delayed a month.
Yeah.
So we moved in the very end of November, beginning of December that year.
Okay.
So it was very close to the end when we got to it.
Yeah.
That last bit went very quickly, it seemed. When we first looked around it, it was nowhere near.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the furniture, everything was included. We got a say in the style of things we wanted. Like the fridge was included, microwave, dining table,
Oh, cool.
all of that kind of stuff. So it was very easy first getting here. But I know everywhere's different. So it just depends on what they're
You've
offering.
got to check, right?
So lots of things like we added, during the build process, we added on a little room outside for the laundry, like to put a washing machine, because there wasn't actually a place to put it inside the house. And we always wanted that. Like if we're going to live there as a family, just wanted a washing machine. So we added that.
All internal, I think. Did we say that? Like,
Oh yeah.
ours is all internal, one level.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
great.
Yeah, it is great. But it was a good I mean, there were bumps in the road for sure.
Yeah, I can
with the
imagine.
developer. But we got there in the end. But we moved in and it still wasn't quite finished.
Yeah.
It was, and it hadn't been cleaned properly.
Yeah.
Generally they'll hand it over to you not cleaning it. So that's kind of down to you as the owner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something to be mindful of. But yeah, we had workers, excuse me, in and out for like 2 months after fixing things.
Yeah.
They come in and they break something else.
Yeah. Once you've tried it out, you can see what's working, what's not working.
Yeah. But overall, we're very happy.
Yeah, nice. Well, when it comes to renting, what's like 3 tips that you could give people?
3 tips. Check the villa out from head to toe before you sign anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because even water
yeah.
in taps,
Yeah.
like you got to check the water coming out of your taps.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of different things. Yeah. Like it's hard, but it's the same like in all countries, like, but things you should be checking.
I didn't check the taps.
Well,
in our first
maybe
one.
not
And then they're like, well, that's your responsibility.
Oh, really? with the contract, get someone else to check over it, someone that you trust here. Maybe it's just someone that has lived here longer than you. If you don't have someone like local, you can ask and negotiate.
Yes.
Don't just accept the first price.
Yeah. Everything is negotiable.
Yeah, generally.
Yes, generally.
Yeah, you should always try and negotiate. So it's just to have your wits about you. And if it's too good to be true, probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say?
Yeah, I'd say that too. And also, like, check around the villa. Like, if you're worried, because I'm very, I like it not to be too noisy.
I say.
So for the second place, I was like making sure that it was already built up around. So there was no chance of construction. We wanted to go near, there's an area in Brawa that had a lot of rentals, but it was right near the mosque. So you'd be able to hear like the prayer, which is fine, but you probably get used to it. But at the time I couldn't. Or chickens.
Yeah.
You live in a village.
Yeah.
There's lots of chickens and dogs.
Yeah. One good thing is like to go back and look at different times of the day.
Yeah.
Because you might hear different noises at different times of the day.
Yeah.
Like at nighttime near our old villa, there used to be like a man who used to sing karaoke full night, just himself, like in this little setup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare probably you can go view at night.
Yeah.
But maybe, well, you can go on your own. Just go around to the area.
Exactly.
And have a little look around.
The sound does travel.
We
could hear atlas and fins.
Yeah.
A little bit. Depending on which way the wind was blowing.
Yeah. And this is a big thing. It did blame the wind.
Yeah, but if you're not as picky as me, that's fine.
And I mean, where we are, we still hear the call to prayer.
Yeah, every now and then.
Yeah.
I love it, but
I don't mind it. Just the 4 a.m.
Not right in my ear. Yeah. Yeah. So going off what you were saying about kind of buying your place.
Yes.
It's a leasehold, is that right?
Yeah.
So there's leasehold and there's freehold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours is leasehold.
Yeah, which is generally what foreigners can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to have a PMA set up.
Yeah.
To, like sign a lease. And
to have a laundry. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so generally you probably want around 25 to 30 years.
Yeah. So that's the general amount of time. Obviously, you can get ones that are shorter, but you also, in most places, will give you the option to extend them. So you can pay more money to have an extra 10, 20, however many years.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's grey area. Like you're told you can do that. You need to speak direct with the owner of the land. For all you know that he could have passed away, he or she could have passed away, and you're dealing with the family or somebody else that might not agree with.
Exactly. They could change their mind.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they kind of can, I think.
Especially as it grows, like areas growing in how much it costs.
Yeah.
And so if you're getting like an 8-year leasehold, because you've been told you can get another 8 years in 4 years' time or something like that.
Yeah.
Just be wary.
Yeah, and even I think we approached ours to see if we could add on some extra years, and they were like, not now. Yeah, not right now. We're waiting, to see what happens. And the market changes, so they'll charge you based on how many hours there are.
Yeah.
And like the current rate of how much it is per hour in that area.
Yeah.
So the price can fluctuate.
And generally, because you can build, or if you're buying a place, you might renovate it. You can do, can you do anything to it, right?
Yeah, we can do anything to it. It's ours, but at the end of that, like, it would just be back to them.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people will do it, and then they might renovate it, live in it, and then they'll on-sell it or on-leasehold it to someone else for the remaining years.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how you can make a profit.
Yeah. Well, you rent it out and you're going to make a profit. And you do make a profit quite quickly here based on what you can rent villas out for here. Especially if you're doing Airbnb daily rentals.
Yeah.
Then your return on investment can come like after 5 or 6 years in some places.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of makes up for it. To some people, it seems crazy that we would buy somewhere that's not actually ours forever.
Yeah.
Like, why are you putting all your money into something?
And do you have to put all that up front, like hundreds of thousands of dollars up front?
Yes.
So you can't be like first 6 months and then the next 6 months.
Yeah,
do it all at once?
Yeah, it's an all at once thing, unless when we bought it was off plan, they were still building it. So we did have a couple of payment terms. So when they finished, we paid a certain amount deposit to start off with and then during. But I think if you're buying property that is built already, they expect the money all at once.
Yeah.
There's no option for getting a mortgage here.
You can't get a loan, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no loan
Yeah.
possibilities here. So yeah.
I have started seeing a few like maybe independent agencies popping up where they can offer you something.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
or how that's legal.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you have leasehold and then you have freehold, right?
Yes.
And freehold is more for locals, or if you're married to a local, but there is a way for foreigners to.
Yeah, you can obtain freehold. You need a PMA set up, so you have a
which is a
business set up.
company. Yeah, so a PMA is a company in Bali.
Yeah, and there is a cost to set that up, of course. So we recently bought some freehold land in Ungasan. Actually, it is slightly different still for a foreigner.
Yeah.
The freehold means 80 years.
Yeah.
Not forever, ever, ever, like it would for an Indonesian. So, it's as good as freehold as you're going to get.
Yeah.
But there is that possibility and you can do it. We definitely used like an agent and somebody to help us with it because I wouldn't go in there blind.
No. Because it's a pretty tricky area in Bali, like the leasehold, the freehold.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are potentially doing it not legally.
Totally. Yeah. We definitely used a lawyer to help guide us on what was the correct way and if we could actually do it, because it was a bit confusing online about whether you can actually have freehold as a foreigner. So just double check all this stuff and make sure you have someone advising you, because you're going to be the one that loses out in the long run as the foreigner if you haven't checked these things.
Yeah. Like you've probably seen stories of foreigners building or buying land and building on it, and then it gets shut down because they've done it illegally. Yeah. They've been deported.
Yeah.
And there's also different zones.
Yes.
So, where it's residential, even zones of short term. So you'll find people getting in trouble because they're Airbnb property out in residential areas that don't have short term zoning. Yeah. So there's a lot of things to look at if you're looking at doing anything with renting or
totally. And if you are building a villa you want to rent it out, there are other permits you need for that. That's an extra. So I believe IMB, like the building permit, you have to have, and so you're supposed to get it before you start building, but most places get it after.
Yeah, and that can take quite a long time. I think when I looked into it, it was minimum 6 months.
Yes. Yeah.
And a lot of the agents are like, "Oh, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it." Yeah. It's like, well, maybe for you, but
but it's not always the case. And we have heard of people having to pay fines for renting their villas out without having the correct permits.
Yeah, sure.
Like if you put it on Airbnb as your face on there, they will come find you. Like they can. Not say, you do need to be.
It is a risk.
You need to be getting the right things. You wouldn't go to any other country and not get the right permit.
Yeah, exactly.
So you should be doing it here.
Yeah.
So just have someone advise you. Read it up on the internet. There's a lot, and it's quite confusing. We found it was very confusing.
Yeah,
these things that
it
we
is.
did. Took us a while to make sure we're doing it correctly.
Yeah. One of the differences of Bali.
Yeah. Would you consider buying leasehold here?
I've always played around with the idea of renovating because I have always wanted to do that as a project in Australia. But you need a lot of money to put up front, which for our investment strategy is not what we want to do. Whereas here, you could do like a 5 to 7 year long lease and do 2 years up front on like it could be, I don't know, 10 or 20 grand a year on a small property, and then renovate it and then Airbnb it out. So at the moment, that's probably the only thing I've been thinking about. But we also love where we live. So we did want to consider like Pereranen because it's so happening and vibey. Where we live in Umalas is wonderful and it's close to the schools. It's more local and I do like that it's quieter. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I'd love to be over there.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It feels the same sometimes. But,
but then you just go there, right, for dinner.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
you kind of play that up.
Yeah. And so how do you go in general? Like I know we were before we started filming today, we were talking about problems in our villas.
Yeah.
What kind of things come up and do these things happen often?
I think you can tell like what's a good build, what's not a good build. So with our original villa, we walked in and it looked great. It looked amazing. But after about, I'm going to say like a month, you could see that it was just patchwork. Like they had just painted over everything. So it was like mold, or like I've said, taps started breaking. Like everything just started to break down because they hadn't maintained it. They had just patched everything to make it look pretty. And then we found out later when we left, they got the previous tenants to pay for that, because then we had to pay for repainting and all of this stuff. And we thought it was normal, so we didn't question it. Well, we did, but not a lot. So another quick tip is when you're renting, take photos and videos of the place.
Yeah, great.
When you first move in, because I did, but I didn't take it of certain things that they wanted us to pay for to replace. That was like that when we moved in.
Yeah, right.
And we couldn't really, like we did try and prove it, but anyway. Oh yeah, what was I saying?
Just about the problems.
So yes, a good build, normally 2 to 3 years in, you'll probably start seeing things, because in the humidity, it's always hot, it's humid. It can be wet, so things do kind of break down, I think, a lot quicker than other places.
Yeah, I think it's the wetness that,
like you'll smell dampness, you'll see mold. Like we're pretty lucky in our place now, we haven't seen mold, but I can smell like dampness.
Yeah.
So much so I've just gone and got these plants. I think they're snake plants to help with oxygen in our rooms.
Yeah, it's cool.
And it detoxifies. Right now, we're having issues with electricity burning out, aircon's breaking down, because we have our aircon on all night.
Yeah.
In our room and the kids' room.
Yeah.
So we have to get them. So we service and clean them probably every couple of months. Yeah. What about yours? Do you have issues?
Yeah. I mean, things crop up all the time. You're like, how did this break? It just, and things randomly break as they do. But it generally is around electricity things.
Like power goes out.
Power things.
Quite a lot. Not a lot, but probably more than it would.
Yeah. Do we have any other problems? I mean, we've always had a bit of a problem with the drains not being quite right. But I'm noticing on our walls, most walls are starting to get a bit yellow at the top, and I'm seeing the water is coming in.
Must be coming in. Yes.
Yeah.
So and we're getting rising damp on the walls, because what are the walls made of? Like, I guess just concrete.
Yeah. And I mean, it's pretty common. It's a common thing, but because it's the years are ticking over, coming up for 3 years, you're starting to notice some of the problems. But overall, I would say here, the great thing is that it doesn't cost much to fix these things. I mean, they might not fix them 100%. They might have to come back in a few days, but it's low cost for the labor. Parts are cheap. That is kind of why things break. They're replacing things with cheap parts.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you can buy a quality from other places, certain places.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, things just tend to break. I don't know. We used to have a lot of problems with like the bum guns. They used to all break.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, what's the actual word for that?
I was like, is that like a game that I don't know?
Hose, sorry. Yeah. They used to break, so we took most of them off, so they stopped exploding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, ours would leak a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, is there anything, I guess, if you were going out now to buy a new place or something that's already done, what's 3 must-haves that you'd want in the property?
3 must-haves. Air conditioning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You only just recently got aircon in your main area.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Yeah. We didn't have AC in the main area for a long time. Not that we use it loads now. We have all our doors open for most of the part and have the fans. But AC in the living area, I think, is a big one. Just having somewhere for laundry if you live here long term, instead of having to send everything out. Must have. Just having an indoor villa.
Yes, definitely.
You think? Yeah. For me anyway, as a family. Yeah, I think. What would be your final advice for someone that is thinking about moving here? What should they do, rental wise, if they're thinking about moving here? Start off with.
Yeah, definitely. Before you come, look at what's available again on the Facebook pages, the websites. Even start talking to them just to get an idea of what's available, what the market's like.
Yeah.
And then when you get here, just go and have a look at them.
Yeah.
Have a look at quite a few to get an idea.
Yeah.
Go to the different areas. There's so many different areas around Bali.
Yeah.
We've obviously talked a lot about our area because that's where we are. But I'm sure there's, there's different problems in different areas.
So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mine would be like to start off with like book an Airbnb, like
Mhm.
a long term, like a few weeks, and then go from there.
Yeah.
I know lots of people actually that have come here before they plan to move here, like to do a recce
Yeah.
and to speak to people.
If you have that
you can, if
opportunity,
that's yeah, I know
definitely.
that's not possible for everyone,
Yeah.
and it's another expense. But if you do have that opportunity, then
Yeah.
it's great to figure out before you get here.
Yeah. I think one of our priorities was just school. So once we found the school that we wanted, we didn't want to have to go far.
Yeah.
So maybe working out your priority, like if you want to be by the beach.
Yeah, totally.
If you want to be in the jungle, like finding the area based off a priority, that can narrow it down a lot.
Yeah.
And try and negotiate everything.
Yeah.
As much as you can.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
you might get 6 months. You don't know what the owner wants. Maybe
Yeah,
they want a quick
exactly.
buck.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah. And just take your time.
Yeah.
Don't rush into something like we did.
Yeah.
And why change your mind.
Exactly.